Happy Friday. So, welcome to episode 2 of Musical Reflections of a Slightly Conscious Being. And today I'm going to share my song Eventuality. I'll be playing the bass and singing at the same time. And the theme of today is the importance of knowing yourself. So, on the first episode, I already talked a bit about the importance of knowing your triggers when it comes to healthy communication. Knowing your triggers is a part of knowing yourself. So, today we are going to dive deeper into knowing yourself, not only your triggers, but everything. Everything. You should be the most interesting person in the world for yourself. And I know this sounds a bit narcissist, but the truth is, understanding how our minds work and understanding how our emotions work, it's so important. And it's something, to be honest, I think this should be taught at school. If this is your very first time here, I'm Sandra. I'm a music artist who is on a journey towards consciousness. And if you'd like to know more about my journey, I invite you to watch episode 0, where I share more about my life story and about how this journey began. So let's do this, guys. I never saw an artist presenting a song on the bass. Usually bass is an instrument that is a complement. It's not played as a solo instrument, but I composed this song on the bass, and I thought about presenting it on guitar, and then I thought it would be so wrong because, I made this song on the bass, so let me just play the song on the bass. Sleepless days, countless nights, endless arguments, useless fights. That's what's left of our love. Count the hours, lose the days, seize the seconds, have it your way. Know exactly what you're about to say, but you don't. I know this pain that is consuming me. I need to know, why can't I let it go? Burning inside, consuming all the corners of my mind. I cannot hide, but I'll try. Running in circles around my head. I should leave, but I stay instead, ignoring the sign of a dead end right ahead. Am I a coward? Am I brave? Feel so weak, make no mistake. Watch me proudly dig in my own grave, on my own. I know this pain that is consuming me. I need to know, why can't I let it go? Burden aside, consuming all the corners of my mind. I cannot hide, but I'll do still have a face underneath it all. I wanna know this pain that is consuming me. I need to know, why can't I let it go? Burning inside, consuming all the corners of my mind. I cannot hide, but I know I shouldn't even bother to try. All right, guys, and that's my song, Eventuality. If you are a patron, you have this song. You have the demo available. The demo has two different bass lines playing together. All right. Wow, that was intense. I I consider playing the bass and singing the hardest thing. I mean, I can sing and play drums, but bass is complicated. Luckily, I'm a lot more advanced on the bass than I am on the piano. So there you go. This is my song, Eventuality. And the theme for today is the importance of knowing yourself. So this is actually, I don't know if you guys, Matrix is my favorite trilogy of movies ever. And when Neo goes to visit the Oracle, there's a sentence above the door which says "Quem et noce," which is Latin for know thyself. And that means exactly that, knowing yourself. The original is actually not in Latin; it's actually in Greek, and it's Gnocchi Santi, something like that. I'm sorry, perhaps I'm saying it wrong, but that inscription was on a temple on ancient Greece, and it was on the oracle temple. So when people would go to consult the oracle, the sentence they had was "Know yourself," because the thing is, if you know yourself, you don't need to go to the oracle, right? Knowing yourself. So first, let's start with the lyrics. I will start by speaking the lyrics of the song and telling the lyrics of the song, and then I'm going to analyze the lyrics. This song, just like You'll Never Know, the song that I presented on episode 1, this song was written 3 years ago as well. It was written while I was doing therapy. This song was actually written before You'll Never Know. It was written 4 months before, and it's more raw. It's more intense as well. It's more angry because, well, my feelings were coming out, and there's something that happens when you do therapy. There's a point, if you do it properly, there's a point that emotions that were repressed start coming out, and the way I always had to deal with my emotions was through music. And I have to say, I think this song is actually the saddest song I have, but it's actually a healthy kind of sad, because I'm questioning myself, I'm questioning my feelings, I'm questioning why was I on that situation. So I'm gonna start by telling the lyrics. Sleepless days, countless nights, endless arguments, useless fights. That's what's left of our love. I count the hours, lose the days, seize the seconds, have it your way. I know exactly what you're about to say, but you don't. I want to know this pain that is consuming me. I need to know, why can't I let it go? Burning inside, consuming all the corners of my mind. I cannot hide, but I'll try. Running in circles around my head. I should leave, but I stay instead, ignoring the sign of a dead end right ahead. Am I a coward? Am I brave? I feel so weak, make no mistake. Watch me proudly digging my own grave, on my own. I want to know this pain that is consuming me. I need to know, why can't I let it go? Burning inside, consuming all the corners of my mind. I cannot hide, but I'll do my best to try. And when the masks fall, Will we still have a face underneath it all? I want to know this pain that is consuming me. I need to know, why can't I let it go? Burning inside, consuming all the corners of my mind. I cannot hide, but I know I shouldn't even bother to try. There you go. This it's a You see, it has a lot more information that the previous song on the previous episode, because on this point I was still not aware of the issues. I was just questioning why. Um, why? I mean, if I didn't have any hopes and if felt like things weren't getting better, why was I choosing to stay on a relationship that I it just made me so unhappy and so tired. I was so tired. So let me go through the first verses with you guys. So, sleepless days, countless nights, endless arguments, useless fights. That's what's left of our love. So, this first verse is very similar to "You'll Never Know." I start with pretty much stating the same, the same thing. It's very similar. One thing that I like here is that I was already analyzing things as they were with facts. So there's no blame here. There's just perception of what is, of what was my reality back then. So there's absolutely no blame, no criticizing. It's just, okay, this is what we have right now. And then we have, I count the hours, lose the days, seize the seconds, have it your way. I know exactly what you're about to say, but you don't. So there's a lot of information here because I'm noticing that this reality is not new, has been like this for a while. It's There's also a reference about beginning to give up. In that small sentence, "have it your way." It's just that I was so tired of seeing these patterns just repeating themselves over and over again that I was like, "Have it your way." I just don't want to fight anymore. I'm also noticing as well that I seem to be the only one on the relationship consciously aware of these patterns, while my former partner now, seem to be stuck on these unconscious patterns, on these endless discussions, and unable to see the discussions for what they really were. One thing that I mentioned on episode 1 that fits here is that when people fight, they are usually never fighting about the reason think they're fighting. Okay, if there's a heated argument and there are emotions, there's usually not the reason is not why they're fighting about. There's something deeper that was hurt, and it's expressing themselves, and it's expressing itself with a heated argument. And that's the point I think I was beginning to notice the patterns that were underneath these pointless discussions, and my partner was just focused on the things he thought he was arguing about, which weren't the real issue. So yeah, when people are communicating or trying to communicate on different things on different levels, of course it doesn't work. And then we have the chorus: "I want to know this pain that is consuming me. I need to know, why can't I let it go? Burning inside, consuming all the corners of my mind. I cannot hide, but I'll try." So here I get curious about my pain. About why I kept choosing to stay on a relationship like this. And I also admit how difficult it was for me to try to pretend things were fine for everyone else. So this is something that's really big. I am a very transparent person. I always was. It's something that I think was born with me when I was a kid. Um, and here I'm in my home city now, so I have the opportunity to hang out with my family, and sometimes they tell stories about my childhood. And apparently, I didn't know this. I just knew this a couple months ago. Apparently, from age 2 to age 4, I was a very, very difficult child. I didn't know. I have no idea. And apparently, I was super rebel. I wanted to do my own thing. I had these tantrums out of nowhere, and I was a complete diva because people had to do exactly what I wanted. Otherwise, I would, I would, I would. It's interesting because I had never, I didn't knew, I didn't know this before. I always thought I was a behaved child, but apparently no. I had a complicated face. It was interesting to know that I was always very expressive of my own feelings. Mr. Hamble, oh my gosh, how are you? You're Mr. Stranger. Welcome. So I was always very transparent, and even though for a very very long time in my life, on I tell my unconscious, during my unconscious years, which lasted pretty much until I was 30, I was not good at expressing my emotions because I was clear on my emotions, but I was always very angry while expressing them. I was always very emotionally distressed, so I couldn't express my emotions in a healthy way, and sometimes the words I would find would be very harsh. I do have a very direct form of communication, and that sometimes hurts people. I don't do it on purpose. It's just, but I it's something that I learned when I begun my conscious journey, is that it's important to choose the right words. Sometimes it's important because words sometimes have different connotations for other people. We have to be careful, and we have to do the work of setting ourselves down, taking handling our emotions, our feelings, and then communicate. And I used to just communicate everything straight away. And when I started to, okay, this is not healthy and I should be more careful about the way I communicate, it was really really hard for me, especially this part of, we had a lot of arguments. There were times that we weren't talking with each other, and we had family events and we had friend events, and we would go together, but I just couldn't pretend that I was fine. It was so hard to pretend that I was fine because I was totally broken inside, and I hate that. I hate It's something that, as a person, this is for everyone. I hate having things to settle. you know um I hate being angry with someone. I do feel like if you have something to work out with someone, oh my gosh, I do my best to work it out as fast as possible, because I just don't want to leave things hanging. I just like to um get things sorted. It's just the way I am. But sometimes, to get things sorted, you have to, with a person, that other person needs to also be available to sort things out with you, and it's not always the case. So yeah, but it was really hard for me, that situation. And then we have the second verse: running in circles around my head. I should leave, but I stay instead, ignoring the sign of a dead end right ahead. So here, I'm also questioning, like why was it that, even though I was aware of the repeating patterns and issues, that I knew that the only logical step would be to leave, because it wasn't getting any better, and I felt like, um, the person I was with wasn't available to sort out these issues. So why did I keep choosing to be on the situation? Like, why was I still on that relationship? It just didn't make sense to me back then. Now we have: am I a coward? Am I brave? I feel so weak. Make no mistake. Watch me proudly digging my own grave on my own. Again, I'm questioning myself, and this time I'm reflecting on something really, really important. It's something I really wanted, um, to also would love to hear your opinion on this. We all have different beliefs, and sometimes we grow up with different examples, even in our parents, in our loved ones or our closed ones. But this time I'm reflecting on something really important: is choosing to work on a relationship instead of leaving. Is it always the bravest thing to do? Because, I see that some people are just choose to give up at the very first difficulty. And I used to watch the series, Sex in the City. It was this famous sitcom back in the 90s, and they are just like this. They are people that at the very first difficulty on the relationship, they just give up. And then there's the other extreme. Like, there's people who choose to stick on the situation and let's try to work it out, or just give, or just stay, on the same relationship for many years, even though they are the first ones to recognize they are not on a happy relationship, but they choose to stay. So there are many beliefs, and I grew up believing that the right thing to do is, when you have issues, you work it out. But when is it just when there's a thin line before trying to work it out and sacrificing yourself. You know, I do feel the right answer here is balance, right? Both of on choosing to stay or leave on the relationship, and in each part, in there's another thing, balance between each contribution on the relationship, because a relationship is made of two people, not just one, sometimes more. I know I have a friend, I have a music artist friend that he's on a relationship with two women. And when I met him, I had absolutely no idea. And I first met one of his wives, and I thought it was his only wife. And then when I went to their home, there was another woman, and then they mentioned that they were married, all three of them. And I was like, wow, really? Because I never met anyone on that situation, and I was very curious. I asked a lot of questions. Of course, I mean, you don't, yeah, I always say you don't have to answer, but I'm very curious, like, how does this work? And how did your family react? That was my favorite. How did your family react to that? Because it's not a usual situation. But the truth is, they are happy like that. All three of them, they are happy. And isn't that all that matters? It's so great. Like, if they are all happy and they all accept that situation, and they showed me the video of their wedding, and it was so great. I thought it was so interesting. And so relationships, we look about it's between two people. No, it can be between more. I mean, if there's openness and everybody's on the same page and they're all great and they're having a good time, great, right? So also, about, returning to my song, I also felt like I was spending my life investing on someone that was constantly leaving me alone emotionally on the relationship. Because I was trying to fix the issues, and I didn't feel that the other part was interested. And then I have the chorus again, and one interesting thing about this chorus is that I changed the chorus is always the same, but the last sentence is always different. So the chorus repeats 3 times, and every time the last sentence of the chorus changed. So at on the very first chorus, it's but I'll try. I'll try to hide my feelings, and I'll try my best to um, work this on a logical way. That makes sense. Then on the second chorus, I say, but I'll do my best to try. And here I'm just reinforcing the idea that I was actually doing my very best to make this work, and just to try to work on the relationship. And Kevin, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. So, and then we have the bridge, and I have to say, for me, it's my very favorite part of the song. What a man, says Hambo, right? To women, he has a spare one. He was, and the interesting thing about him, he was married with one of them for 17 years, and then they met the other woman. Both of them, they met the other woman, and they choose to marry her too. They both marry her, and that's so interesting, right? They had like they were just two, and then there were three. But it wasn't a baby, it was another woman. And that's okay. Oh no, they had, I think one of his wives had twins. Yes, 3 years ago, I think. Yeah. Okay. So I was saying the most interesting part of the song is, for me, is the bridge. And the bridge is very, very short. It's just a couple sentences, actually one sentence divided. And when the masks fall, will we still have a face underneath it all? And this is actually a very interesting part of the song for me, and especially looking at it now, because I wrote this song 3 years ago, and 3 years ago I was still very, very confused. I was beginning to get some clarity, but there were many things that I still didn't understand, and I was still trying to make sense. But here, and this is actually how I write music, how I write lyrics. I don't give much thought when I'm writing. I use a technique that is actually a psychological technique, which is called the free association. You basically just let the patient, if you're talking about therapy, just let the person talk, And sometimes there's free association. Sometimes they put like those weird paintings, and you have to mention the first word that comes into your head. That's called free association. And basically, when I'm writing songs, sometimes I'm just playing the song and I'm singing, and I just let the words out without giving it too much thought. And that's how this part came. I know, I still remember how I wrote this song, and it was pretty much like this, written at once. I didn't give much thought. So um it's interesting for me to look at this part now, and it's clear that there was a part of me that was already aware of egos. And when I mentioned when the masks fall, the masks is exactly our egos. It's sometimes we use masks when we don't want to assume our true feelings, our emotions. And some people just use masks on different contexts. For instance, when some people go to work and they look like totally different people than they are with their friends or with their wives. For instance, I don't know if you guys, there are many people like this, and I thought it was so weird. I had a colleague of mine that he was always complaining about his wife, always. But I was like, oh, she's an egg. She's like, oh, she's always the same thing. And then his wife was calling him, here she comes again. She's such an egg. And then he would pick up the phone. Hi, sweetie. How are you? Hi, hi. Yes, yes. And then he would say, bye bye, love you. And then he will give it kisses like this on the phone. And I thought it was the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, he was just saying so many bad things about her. And on the phone, it looks like two different people. And this is the mask. This is the mask we wear, right? But it can also be a part of our ego. Sometimes our egos reveal themselves in different ways towards different people or in different situations. So basically, I was just thinking, like, when our masks fall, will we still have a face underneath it all? Like, um, because in the end, we were both hiding our true feelings. I was hiding by not revealing how deeply unhappy I was, because it would just cause a huge reaction on him. And on his part, he just refused to talk or reveal his feelings. I had no idea what he was feeling most of the time. So my question is, what would happen when both of us decided to face the real issues and face our real selves without masks? Would we still have a face underneath it all? Would we find our individual selves besides all this dysfunction that we were dealing with? And then on the last chorus, again, it's the same, but then the last sentence is, but I know I shouldn't even bother to try. So here is a final reflection that I cannot hide, but I know I cannot hide my feelings, but I know I shouldn't even bother to try. First, because I'm really, really bad at hiding my feelings. I could never do it properly. And I shouldn't even hide. Why was I hiding my feelings? Like, that's not a healthy thing to do, right? So, and there you go. This is the reflection of the song Eventuality. And I do feel it's one of my more intense songs when it comes to feelings and rawness, and also, but it's also a very engineering analysis, if that makes sense, because I'm analyzing all my feelings in a very rational way. Actually. So Hambo is asking, and I guess I have to ask this question, being a red-blooded man, does he have? Okay, I don't know, because I didn't ask that, Hambo. But I remember them mentioning that was one of the questions that was more asked, like, when it came down to doing the business, would be just between the two or three. I didn't ask because I thought it wasn't polite of me to ask. And then they casually mentioned that usually that's the only thing they are asked about, and they would get like, oh, always the same thing. So I was glad that I didn't ask, because I noticed that they were comfortable with the question. And I mean, that's their business. It's not our business, right? Sorry, Hambo, I couldn't clarify you on that one. Truth is, I don't know. Okay. No problem, Hambo. I'm sure many people were thinking the same. Right? I'm sure. I'm sure. You're just the one brave enough to ask. Okay. So, one thing that I really like about this song, even though it's a very, very sad song and very intense and very angry, there's a lot of angry and there's a lot of rage on this song. It's also a very healthy song. Uh, it's a song about looking at yourself, questioning your choices, questioning your feelings. And this is what happens in the beginning of the journey of self knowledge. Many people, this is sometimes referred, and you guys can look this up. It's sometimes called the dark night of the soul, and this is one of the points that cause the beginning of the self awareness journey, or the awakening journey, or the conscious journey. It's we beginning to take ownership for our feelings and our emotions. Many people are just stuck on the level that they blame the world and they blame everyone else. And when you start questioning yourself, when you start, wait, I mean, the world is like this. There's nothing I can do to change it. People are like this. There's nothing I can do to change them. Like, why? Why am I like? Why do I react this strongly to these things? Why is it so? Um, why don't I take action? Why do I choose to stay uh, on this situation? And when I have all these feelings, like I'm not happy, and I just don't see this going anywhere else. So it's normal that it's a very angry song, because that's what happens when you start facing yourself. Emotions that were repressed start coming out. So even though it is an angry song, it's actually a healthy kind of angry, because it's letting it out. It's letting out, and it's about questioning ourselves and our choices. And that's the first step towards taking responsibility for our life situation. And what I mean by our life situation is our jobs, our relationships, our partners, our friends, because let's face it, we can choose. We can choose our lives. We can choose. There's always a choice. We can choose where we live. We can choose where we work. We can choose who our partner is, or we can choose to be single. We can choose our friends. And any second of our lives, we can change it. Of course, I mean, there are limits I cannot go into yet. I cannot go into a multi-million-dollar mansion, right? But um, that's okay. There are still many, many other places I can choose from. Of course, there's conditions, but that doesn't mean that we don't have free choice, right? Um, so why don't we then? Why do we tolerate many times circumstances that are obviously not good for us and don't make us happy? And this is where many times our egos step in. Usually, because our egos step in and they tell us that, oh, it's not that easy. You have responsibilities. Oh, you should worry about a hypothetical future case scenario. Oh, you should worry about someone else's feelings, or that it's not the right time right now. That's my favorite one. It's not the right time. I have so many people that hate their jobs, and they're my friends, and but it's never the right time to change. Never. It's never. And I've been listening to them for years bitching about their jobs, and it's never the right time. It's never the right time. So thing is, the right time will never come. Will never come. And it's just an illusion, right? It's just our egos, like, oh, someday in the future, like there will be a perfect circumstance when I'll be able to make that choice. And that comes from fear, right? And our egos like to make these hypothetical future scenarios. And of course, I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't plan for your future. Of course you should. But the futures that we plan on in our minds will never be real. Like, will always be a projection. And truth is, all we can take for granted is in this life is this moment, is right here and now. You never know, right? The past is gone. There is no way to change it. The future that can change any moment, and no matter, it's totally out of your control. I mean, no matter how hard you try to control it, and usually the more you try to control it, the more stuff happens that completely ruin your plans. It's just the way things are. So my advice to you is that if you like to know yourself, start questioning yourself right now, and look at your life situation right now, and look at the person you are right now. Don't look at your past choices or your future scenarios. Just take a look at yourself right now, where you are, your life. Is your job what you like it to be? Is your home what you like it to be? Is your relationships with your partner, your family, your friends, are they what you would like them to be? Like, what about the most important relationship in your life, which is the relationship with yourself? I see so many people that have a shitty relationship with themselves. They don't like their bodies, or they don't like their weight, or they don't like their health, or they don't like their eating habits or something. But then they are just like, oh, one day, right? One day I'll change my diet, or oh, one day, I'll start taking better care of myself. No, you all you have is right here and now. And your health, and being your physical health or your mental health or whatever, it's a reflection of your choices today. Because, and I'm here and I'm being vulnerable about my choices in the past. And like I said, up until I was 30, I was on a very unconscious level. And I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of because I was unconscious. I didn't know any better back then. But do I blame myself for all those things I did? I used to, for a very long time. And then I figured out why. I mean, I cannot change the past. I can only change the person I am at every moment in my life, at this moment. So, um, my question for you is exactly this: do you like the person you are today? And are you proud of yourself? I see so many people that are not proud of themselves. And one great way to look at this is like, question: would your 8-year-old self be proud of you, who you are today? Imagine if you could meet like the child version of yourself that was full of dreams, and if that person met you today, would they be proud of you? Would they, like, if you tell what you did with your life, would that child be happy? Would your child be excited for you? And another one, and that's a big one, like, there are many movies you can see about this, which I saw one really great the other day. It's called 50-50, and it's about a guy, a 30-year-old guy, that discovers that he has a rare form of cancer, and he has like 5%, 50% chances of living. And and doctors give him 6 months. And this is it's actually a good exercise for you. Like, if you knew for certain that you were going to die in 6 months, what would be your reaction? Like, what would be the things that you would change today? And this is a very deep exercise. And one thing that I really love about this exercise is that it brings you back control, right? Because usually when we are deprived of our future, we gain clarity about our present. And it reminds you of the power of change that you have. You can choose to change your life completely at any time. Of course, there are conditions. Yes, yes. But even if you are the most conditioned person in the world, there are things that are still under your control and that you can still change. So the problem is most people just get stuck on the buts, right? And I know this is funny. I think Campbell will pick up on this. What I mean, getting stuck on the but is not that simple. But I can't afford it. But in the future. But I don't know. And one thing that is very important to mention here is that our society is structured in a way that it kind of works like a prison for the mind, because it starts at school, and it starts with your parents, and then at school it starts with the stated beliefs, like everyone should get a degree, like everyone needs to go to school, right? Everyone should get a good degree, everyone should find a girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, whatever, everyone should get a job, buy a place to live, get in debt till they are retired, right? And get a new car every 5 years. The thing is, in the end, each of us have very different desires. And what I mean by desires is desires that are fully yours, that weren't imposed to you by society. Have a kid, especially being a woman. In my case, there was a lot of pressure. Now I'm single, so there's no pressure. But when I was on the relationship, there was a lot of pressure for having kids. When are you guys going to have kids? And for a very long time, I didn't even consider about having kids. um but then, as I got older, and I thought, and right now I would like to go through that experience. I would like to be a mom someday, but I only want to have one child. And then there and then people step in. Oh, you cannot have only one, you have to have two. And why? I mean, I was an only child and I was happy that way. I never felt the need for a brother. But there's this beliefs that things have to be a certain way. And um but sometimes it's not the way you think, and it's not the way that makes you happy. And it's not okay to forcing ways of life uh into others. And that's the most important part. Like, um we are so unique, and that's such a it works on animals as well. I mean, if you had a pets, or every pet is different. It doesn't matter if you had a bird, or even a fish, or a cat or dog. Of course, the bigger the animal, the more intelligent the animal is. Usually, it's the personalities are more proeminent. But there's no every dog is different, right? Every cat is different. Every bird, and I had periquites when I was a little kid, and every bird was different. They all have different personalities. And human beings is just the same. We are all so different from each other, and that's beautiful, right? We are different. And so why should we impose these beliefs and force these beliefs on others, right? And there's this pressure, and some people are just like, oh, but you have to get married, but you have this and you have that. No, you don't. I mean, if you don't want to, you don't. And that's so simple. Right? Of course, like, if you want to have money to get things, you have to find ways of making money, right? And having a job, it's one of the ways, but you can choose so many different jobs, right? You can choose to be self-employed. You can choose to build a business or have a store. I don't know. There are so many things you can try to earn money, and or you can, get to a point that you start, and that happened to me, that I started not to feel the need to buy so many things. And I'm happier that way, because I don't feel the need. And that works when you start building your confidence. You start to not need to get external things, and so you don't need to have that much money, because you don't spend that much money either. So it's all choices. It's all choices. And you know, the other day I was talking to a person that he don't you play any video game? Don't you like playing games? And I think life is the greatest video game you can play. Because you have so many choices. And there are so many things. Like, why should I go play on a virtual game when life has so many choices? I don't have to play on a virtual game. And um that was like that was just something that came when that person asked me that, and I thought he didn't see that answer coming. So